you might be wondering, what have I been up to? And like I've said previously, I wanted to insulate these walls. The problem is I had a huge pile of wood here, which I have worked on moving over here. And to make that happen, I had to move like two big things, one of which was a shelf, which is this 4-foot wide merchandise rack that we had in a veterinary hospital, but got replaced with a newer shelf. It's on casters, but the stupid floor in here is, you know, useless for casters. And the second thing I had to move is this huge freaking compressor, which I finally figured out what it is. There's a name tag here. It says something American brake pad standard or standard brake pad American. I don't know. Anyways, Kellogg bought them, so this is a Kellogg compressor effectively. I don't know how big it is. I know it's a 2-horsepower motor, runs on 220. But I'd like to get this working for my shop. So anyways, I moved a whole bunch of all this wood, and I'm working on taking out the nails that hinder stacking, flat stacking like this. So anything like this I have to, you know, remove. Which has been a pain in the butt. Lots of spiders too. One thing I'm a little concerned about, and I don't know if it's going to be a huge factor, ultimately, is this condensation here. And that's frost on the inside, because that's an aluminum flashing that goes out over the edge of the pad. Because this part of the house is just a pad. And before the house is built, under that corner, I had to put a pier down 42 inches. And that provides enough support for the house above, which has this really long LVL going the whole width of the house, 42 foot. Yeah, so that's where I am, and I've been kind of poorly closing up the windows with foam, at least on the back part of it, the north side, so they don't let in much light and they just let out a lot of heat. And with the polar vortex, I never really mentioned the temperature down here, but the temperature now is 51 in here, and during the polar vortex it was down to 45. So the only heat that we get down here is either from the floor radiating heat that it's stored through the year, or just, you know, because the earth is warm, and most of our heat's from the ceiling. I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times from me. I should just stop mentioning it. So that's where I am, and then I should figure out a place for my ladders, and then I can insulate that. Yep, and then I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do over top of that. I think I might do like 2x2 furring strips or 2x3s to bring the wall out and make it plumb, because the wall as it sits is not plumb, and the spacing is not adequate for any sort of sheet goods, because every single one of these pieces of insulation that I have to put in is going to have to be cut for the stud bay. You can kind of see there that stud bay is a little bit wider than that one, and I think the maximum here is 24 inches or 22 and a half. The only things I might not have to cut are these, which are, there was a door here and they framed over that and put the plywood on, because my stairs for the back porch run right there. So the contractor did that. So that should be good. And then over here I want to remove, there's a workbench here. It's really junky and kind of useless, so I want to remove it and remove this too. So ultimately the whole shop will be plywood walls, like 3/8 or maybe a little heavier than 3/8 plywood, and that'll give me good nailing surface, and it'll all be painted white. So white walls, white ceiling, and the floor is going to be insulated with new concrete and a really light color of floor. I'm not sure if it's going to be like an epoxy paint or one of those life-proof vinyl plank tiles. Not tiles, but vinyl planks, which would be really nice. So that's it for tonight.